Hey, what's up, BD Up 44? Coming at you with another video. All right, so yeah, just want to kind of further what I was just thinking right now. You know, having three superstars, it's a luxury if they're all playing at a high level, superstar level. But if they're not, it can be potentially a disaster. And the reason why that is because, as you've been following my channel, we talk about this a lot. It's because you have $300 million contracts that ultimately eats up most of your cap. So at that point, you can only use a few $1,000,000 to put together the rest of your team. So if you don't have a good set of young players that you picked up that can contribute right away in the draft, or guys you may have drafted on rookie contracts for the last 3 years, and you can't find these 1-year deals that, have guys come in and play, well above that pay level. If you can't have all that come together, your superstars must play great, or otherwise, you're gonna be having a tough year. You look at what's going on in Brooklyn. It's exactly what's happening. You look at what's happening here in LA. It's exactly what's happening with the Lakers. They have three superstars on heavy contracts, and not all of them are playing well or even there respectively. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, if the bench is not going to be good. You didn't put the bench together to be good. You put the bench together because that's what you can get with the amount of money that you could put together. It's what you could put together. And see, that's the point. It's like you look at Golden State. They have that dynamic with Dre, Clay, and Steph, but they've also had a couple seasons to kind of put their team together since they had their stars missing for the last few years. So they'd be able to, get some lottery picks, grab some guys that can help them develop some guys over that time span. Put themselves in a position to be as good as they are right now. The Lakers and the Nets, they didn't have that 2-year span. They would have to go through losing seasons with those players on contract to put themselves in a position to do that. In other words, the Golden State Warriors have already suffered. That's what I'm here to tell you. They've already bled out, healed, and now here they are strong and ready to fight again because of it. But the Lakers are going to have to go through that in order to build the team that they need to go through. And the only way you can develop those players is if those stars aren't playing. You see, Golden State wouldn't even had the ability to do so had Clay not gotten hurt, had KD not left, had Steph not missed half a season. It wouldn't have happened. So at this point, I look at the Lakers situation, I look at the Nets situation as well, and I say, you guys will probably have a better chance of winning the championship at this point is if you shave off one of those contracts, especially as it pertains to the short term, because you're not going to have a good enough team to go up against the Golden State if and when you see them. That's where we're at right now. It's like we're not good enough to beat them, period, even in full strength, because they have superstars and they have a strong bench. So it's never going to be a moment where you're going to be able to relax, or they're going to be able to make it through the season if somebody goes down because of those players being able to step up and play bigger roles, and your role players can. So ultimately, they're going to have home court advantage. Chances are. I look at both of these teams, the Lakers and the Nets. I'm like, y'all need to try to figure out a way to get rid of one of those $100 million contracts. The Lakers need to get rid of Russell Westbrook, and the Brooklyn Nets need to get rid of Kyrie Irving. It's not because you don't like those guys. It's not even because of anything other than the fact that you just can't get better. You can't get better. 3 max contracts is too much of a strain on a GM in this league. At this pace, with the cap being in this way. Now, as things expand, as the game gets better, maybe that will start to be a little more manageable. But as of right now, you're just asking too much of your GM when you add 3 max players to his cap situation. And that's something that needs to be discussed in sports, because it will explain why your team is struggling. It'll tell the casual fan just exactly what they're looking at. You know what I mean? And it's a lot of things that go into it, and that's what I'm here to kind of bring to the table. I want to help people see it the way I see it in that way, because I know that that's not really what the media is here to do. They're here to entertain you. They're not really here to explain to you what you're looking at. They're not really here to do the boring stuff and break down stuff. They're here to give you the extravaganza stuff, the stuff that'll make you turn your head around when you're not paying attention to the screen. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm trying to help us understand what it is that we're looking at so we boo properly and cheer properly. You know what I mean? Sometimes we misdirect our energy as fans, and we do more harm than good in some cases, rooting for the wrong things. You know, you can see it as parallels in other areas. It's like people not being knowledgeable but going out and voting. It's like, it would be best to know what you're doing. It would be best to know what you're voting for. No different in sports. Much lesser degree, not nearly as important, but much of the same. You need your context. You need to know what it is you're looking at so you know what you're rooting for. In a situation like this with the Lakers, it's just, truly, honestly, if we can't get this team to play really championship basketball, those three players particularly, Russell Westbrook, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis, if they're not playing at an absolutely high level, then the bench has to overachieve in order for them to succeed. No different than what's going on in Brooklyn. So I think they should shave off one of those contracts and find themselves in a position with more wiggle room to get better role players. You put better product on the floor. I really believe that. You'll just put a better product on the floor. You'll have a better chance to actually win these basketball games when you have more weapons. It is what it is. I think these teams are a bit one-dimensional right now. I think you're putting a lot of strain on those superstars, and truth be told, I have my questions about whether both of them going to make it through the season. Both LeBron and KD. And James Harden. I don't know if they're going to make it through the season. AD, I mean, you're putting too much on them. And here's another thing you got to look at. If the majority of the league had 3 max contracts on each team, this is a different conversation. You see what I'm saying? Because it would be an even playing field. Everybody's dealing with that. Everybody's bench sucks. You know what I mean? Most of the league is dealing with 2 contracts. Some 1. So there's more balance. There's more weapons. Even though they don't have those superstar guys who can flex on you and just take you out, they may have 1 or 2, and that may be enough if you're going up against a team like us who's struggling and our stars can't get it together or are not on the floor, what have you. 1 star goes off, yeah, you get a big game out of LeBron, but you still lost the game because they had like 6 guys in double figures. It's a team sport, you know what I mean? So I think the idea that superstars win championships is definitely real. I don't think that's a fallacy or nothing like that. But I think there's a such thing as being not mindful of what it is you actually have. It's like tipping all of your best to the front, and then like when they get beat, there's no line of defense behind you, and you just lost. You know what I mean? It's to where if your best is not having his best night, your team is balanced. You can still have some guys come off the bench and wear you out. That's probably a better way to go. In a league where injuries are always prevalent, you don't want to be too top heavy. That's just. And then when you couple that with the fact that we're older, I think we gotta tweak some things. And looking at it in terms of philosophy, it's just that you just gotta understand that balance is probably the better way to go. And in most things in life, balance is the way to go. And when you're dealing with a cap or something that's limited, you got to understand that it has to be managed. And so the person who manages that, the GM, you're leaving them in a tough spot. That's that. So next time you put 3 superstars together, make sure they're all the same age, and make sure that age is under 23, preferably. Under 23. If you're going to get 3 max players at $100, $200 million or whatever that, make sure those guys are young, man. Don't do this 30-plus thing, last hoorah thing. That's not what you want to do. You may get a championship out of it, but you're going to have some tough years, and then even more so when that all goes away, you're playing from even further behind because you don't have assets. That's what usually happens. Trying to acquire those 3 players and trying to manage those 3 players, you got to give up picks and stuff like that. I mean, it's just too much of a strain on the GM, period. So That's what we talking about, man. You only gonna get this here, man. My name is BDF44. I thank y'all for watching. I'm out.